UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains. I think you'll find this testimony very interesting. We're going to keep this person anonymous, as well as some other features of it. But I think you'll find this testimony, very interesting. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. As we step into 2025, one thing is clear: de-dollarization is not stopping. It's accelerating. Folks, China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar to establish themselves as a global economic superpowers. Their secret weapon? Gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold. And you know what makes it even more telling? They underreport their buy. Doesn't it make you wonder why? They recognize its global value and ability to withstand economic shocks. Gold is a global asset with innate value. It's tangible, reliable, and immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries want to be prepared. They just don't want it known. But this isn't just about nations. It's about you. In a world of shifting economic power, gold is your personal hedge against uncertainty. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure your financial future with gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more, and with a qualified account, receive 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Folks, please remember that there is a risk, that there's no guarantee of anything when you invest with Noble Gold or you buy gold. There certainly are risks involved. Please make sure that you assess everything before you buy. But once again, noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. I get letters like this, and sometimes I'm allowed to read them, sometimes I'm not allowed to read them. But this person was gracious enough to allow me to read. It's a short little testimony, and I'll get right into it. So, dear LA, firstly, I want to thank you with all my heart for your tireless efforts to get the truth out to people. I am amazed at what you have done with your YouTube show. Well, thank you very much. I will keep your name anonymous, but I appreciate the kudos there. The knowledge I have come to learn from watching your many videos has just been priceless. And yes, I did buy your new book, Rungs of Disclosure. I enjoyed it immensely. I was aware of quite a bit of the content, but you sewed it all together, making it an enjoyable read. I could write pages of what I have been through in my journey into Jesus, but I'll spare you that ordeal. I'm 71 years old, and I live in northern blop. I'm not going to tell you where that, it could be anywhere. It could be northern Texas, but it's not. I was saved at 19, thanks to God for his calling and patience, bringing me around to the truth. Not trying to be dramatic, but without Jesus intervening in my life, I would most likely not be alive today. Okay, what I want to do here is compliment you and further strengthen your resolve at hammering home the coming great deception. Stop right there. That's a term that I coined way back in 1999 when I was writing the book Nephilim, which was published by Zondervan. And then we bought the rights back, or we got the rights back to it, and now we publish it here at Spiral of Light. The bottom line is Brad Myers also came up with the coming great deception, or something very similar to that. And Brad, of course, is the author and financier of What is the Truth, this little tract that we've got, which is anytime you buy something, Peggy sends 2 or 3 of them off. If you want to buy like 50 or 100 of them, then we need to talk turkey here, but these are great, and I just want to thank Brad again. There's so much information, and you hand this to somebody, they can read it in less than 2 minutes. It can change their life. So let's continue. I lived through the scenario you portrayed. My parents were involved in what I will simply call a UFO cult, a small group called, and I'm going to leave out the name of the group, leave out the names of the states, because I want to keep this as anonymous as possible, all right? Protect the witness, protect the people that may be associated with this group, okay? I grew up as a very young child watching and listening to these group meetings in my house. The leader of the group was a medium. She would go into a trance, and the worst unimaginable, deep, guttural voices would speak through her. I saw this when I was probably 7 years old. I grew up in an environment of fear of lights in the sky, fear of the dark, fear that aliens would come and take us away. So, first of all, let's address that. Any type of mediumship like this, we are told not to engage in it. Why? There's a familiar spirit. She's channeling this thing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's this whole group of psychics which are getting together, and I may sign up for that just so I can watch what they're doing and then counteract that. But New Age circles are alive and well. And they've got, millions of followers. It's just unbelievable what's going on. And some of these people are internationally known, and they channel different entities, and these entities speak to them. Now, and once again, I'll circle back to Brad in our What is the Truth? We actually quote one of these mediums. Her name is Barbara Marciniak, with all due respect to her. It's a warning, because how does she know that the entity that's channeling through her is malevolent or benevolent? By the way, in the biblical narrative, that never happens. You're not possessed or partially possessed by an entity. It doesn't work that way. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon a person and they begin to prophesy, it's a whole different deal than what we're talking about here. And in the biblical narrative, we're forbidden to do this. So what we have to remember is that all of this, we are told in the biblical narrative not to engage in, because you're bringing in a familiar spirit. And the Bible tells us very specifically not to engage. The gist of a spirit speaking through this woman reiterated the old lie. When the world was about to destroy itself, the extraterrestrials would come and take the faithful away to another planet. That happened in 1961. Sound familiar? Folks, once again, I have heard this lie since I was 24. So this gentleman heard this that's 1974. He heard it in 1961. They have been promulgating this through different mediums, and yet it's all the same lie, isn't it? Because I heard it in a New Age circle that was involved with the guru that I was involved with. He's in another area hearing it from channeled information from a woman who's being possessed by a demon, not fully, but partially, especially during the time when the entity comes in. So this is the game plan. Absolutely, this is the game plan in my opinion. Now, the other thing, the caveat, these entities lie and may do so habitually. So can we be sure that they're not lying here? My first inclination is to say, I get that. However, we keep hearing this over and over and over again. So we have three witnesses. We have this witness telling us that this is what that person heard in 1961. I heard it in 1974. Barbara Marciniak writes about it in Bringers of the Dawn. Let's continue. So the lie has been around for a long time. The group is long disbanded. But the scars remain even though the wounds are healed. Yes, there were apparitions and UFO sightings and strange happenings in my house, as you can imagine. I experienced sleep paralysis many times and even was attacked by a demon one night and thrown around in my bedroom. Was I abducted? Not sure. But I do have missing time periods. I have no memory of when I was quite young, between 7 to 10 years old. I can remember someone being in my room at night when I was about 8. It could have been a spirit or a member of the group bent on abuse. I can say, however, my sexual function has been not a very satisfactory one during my lifetime with my ex-wife. So how many times have I heard this? People that are taken, people that abducted, women who are taken and abducted, they go in there, they can't have kids, and everything is mangled up. Well, what happened here? How did this happen? And there's never an explanation for it. Never an explanation. Folks, this whole phenomena, the whole abduction phenomena, is absolutely real. It's the breeding program that we read about in Daniel 2:43. That's where it comes from. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Our fourth film, and again, I realize it's, some of you, Marzulli just wants to buy our stuff. Think what you want. I really don't care, Mr. Troll, Mr. and Mrs. Troll. So the bottom line is this. In number 4, which is our film on abductions, we sit down with 4 people. All of them were taken at very young ages. They all have missing time. They bear the scars of being abducted over and over. It reminds me, Karen Wilkinson is facing what could be a very life-threatening operation. We got together and prayed with her the day after Christmas. And friends of ours, Gary and Karen Z, came in, and they remotely, we did a Zoom chat, and we prayed. And the next day she got up out of bed. So keep her in prayer. Keep her in prayer. Also, we've got a GoFundMe page. We're really close. We're like, last time I checked, it was like 11,440, something like that. The goal is 14 grand. Let's make that happen. Let's hit that goal and bless this woman. She lost absolutely everything, including her beloved dog. What do you do with that? We lost everything in 2018. That's why this strikes, a chord with me, because I know what it's like. We were in Dallas, Texas. We came back. Everything was gone. Everything. And I mean everything. But The Lord brought good out of it because that's what he does. Let's continue. I have a vague memory of another child being abused by two men. However, it's very brief. No other memories I have been able to recall. My parents eventually divorced over this as my mother wanted out. My father left us to pursue the group. I was 13 by then. My teenage and most of my adult life has been fraught with depression and fear, something I would not wish on anyone. It was a nightmare living under that, even though I was saved. I did not know how to use the authority God has given us or how to apply the armor of God in my life. So let me just stop right there. You know, I put on the armor of God sometimes, well, at night after I'm done my meeting with the Lord and I raise my hands and I worship. I put on the armor of God as I lay back down to go to sleep. And, you know, I have a slightly different way of doing it. I'll just tell you here. When I put on the helmet of salvation, I say that the blood of Jesus, who was the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, that blood is on the threshold, the doorpost, and the lintel of my mind. Nothing comes through. Every thought is checked. Every thought is under the blood. I take my breastplate of righteousness. You are Jehovah Sitkenu. You are my righteousness. I put on the belt of truth. The belt of truth. You are the truth, the life, and the way. My shoes are shod with the gospel of peace. You are the Prince of Peace. I hold up that shield of faith. You are the author and finisher of my faith. Finally, I take a sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates between soul and spirit, joint and marrow. It judges the thoughts and intentions of the heart. That's my little prayer. It takes what? A minute to put on? But I added to it. I added my own little, signature to that. So I put that armor. Sometimes if I feel the enemy coming in, I go right to the armor. Right to the armor. Take every thought accountable. First time I heard that 44 years ago, I went to my mentor, the late Wayne Kendall, and said, wait, how is it possible to take every thought accountable? Well, Marzulli, you'll learn how to do that because that's what you have to do. That's kind of how Wayne talked. Anyway, I miss him. He was a great mentor and a good friend. So let's get back to this. My father later became a Christian and left the group by living in, I'm going to tell you the name of the city. It was he who led me to the Lord. Also, 51 years ago, God took evil and turned it around for good. What an amazing, loving, merciful God we have. I could go on, but this is my story in a nutshell. But L.A., you are absolutely 100% right on the truth of the great lie and the coming great deception. My sincere thanks for you and your perseverance and honest reporting. You, sir, are one of a kind and so much needed in these perilous days. P.S. Your recent video of the spiderweb drawing talking about unforgiveness was very timely and much needed on my part. I was not aware of the levels or runs of forgiveness like you stated. Also, your video about the Therion beast found in Revelation made a huge impact on me and my spirit. I believe you are absolutely correct on that. You know, when I get letters like this, you see, here's the deal, that I'm in my studio here and there's really no feedback. Okay? I'm talking to the camera. There's not a live audience here. I'm talking to the camera. So then I give this over to John Adam. John Adam does the editing, puts the commercials in, puts some JPEGs in, makes it nice, the intro, the outro. I want to thank Michelle Bell once again for doing the great intro. She's really hit a home run there. But anyway, it's so when we go to conferences, we get feedback. When I get letters like this, we get feedback. And it makes me, want to continue. And I thank you for that. Anyway, folks, run the disclosure, $10 set, all sorts of stuff on the website, lamarzulli.com. I'll be back again with another episode of The Vault. In fact, right after this, I'm going to change clothes and do an episode of The Vault. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I am watching this drone thing like crazy. If anything new comes up, I will be reporting on it for you. Thanks for coming here. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll say it again. We have a new phrase for 2025, and I will be repeating it. The Lord, I've already said this, but I'll say it again because new people come in. And I'll end with this, I promise. So 25 years ago, 26 years ago, when the Nephilim book came out, published by Zondervan, I talked about that this is the coming great deception. That's where that phrase came from the book. the coming great deception. Then later on, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. That was in Watchers, the very first Watchers film with my late business partner, Richard Shaw. Then we go up, they come down, we go up, they show up. That was at Prophecy Watchers 4 or 5 years ago when I coined that phrase. So let's put them all together because that's what the Lord told me to do. UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. This is the coming great deception. But when we go up, they come down. So when we go up, they come down. So when we go up, they show up. I'll say it again. UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming great deception. So when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. Thanks so much for watching.